It's 2026 and Xbox One X is back on our test bench for the 4th year in a row, and I deeply think this console still doesn't get the amount of attention it deserves. Nearly 10-year-old hardware along with Microsoft's debatable decisions as of recently, it's not a shocker that many people have already forgot about the Xbox One X. Console prices are going up, the PC market is sort of a hot mess at the moment, everything is going handheld or through the cloud, and Game Pass is more expensive than ever. Honestly, as someone who just wants to enjoy video games, the One X doesn't sound so crazy anymore. And I do think many people will really dig this console, not only because it offers 4K gaming and still get updates, but because the fact that it's a console. As someone who shifted away from competitive PC gaming and now sees gaming as a way to relax, slow down and keep things laid back, for me the One X just makes perfect sense for that occasion. While I still do love PC gaming, there's something undeniably calming about kicking back with a controller. No desk posture, no mouse flicks and no consistent driver updates or tweaking with settings. Even if the experience isn't technically on the same level as my PC, there's a vibe with console gaming that's simply hard to ignore. And when it actually comes to sitting down and enjoying games as a form of entertainment, it still delivers without feeling compromised. Especially when you consider the value you're getting. In today's economy, something that costs $500 can jump to a bold ass $750 before you know it. And that's far from the experience with the One X. You can usually find a used One X for a fraction of what modern consoles and PCs are going for. And that alone makes it worth talking about. We are in a time where entry-level gaming feels more expensive than ever. With consoles prices rising and RAM prices going absolutely nuts, and the One X quietly sits there as a reminder that solid performance doesn't always need the newest silicon. Performance-wise, it still holds up better than most people expect. A shit ton of last-gen titles run at higher resolutions and frame rates compared to the base Xbox One or the One S. Games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Gears 5, Forza Horizon 2, 3 and 4 along with other countless backwards compatible titles still look genuinely impressive on a 4K display. It's not next gen or current gen or whatever the fuck you wanna call it, but it doesn't feel ancient either. I put together a quick side by side of the One X and the Series X, full video in the top right corner, but the gap isn't as big as you might expect. It really comes down to the game you're playing. In most cases, the One X is running at 30 FPS, while the Series X pushes 60. Visuals do take a hit here and there, but it's more about minor differences than anything dramatic. And if we take a quick peek at the specs, we can actually see that its GPU is actually more powerful than the Series S. So then you might be wondering, why can't the One X play all the games that the Series S can play? The answer is actually pretty simple. This old powerhouse is being held back hard by its mediocre CPU and, more importantly, its aging hard drive. Raw GPU power isn't the whole story anymore. The hard drive is really the biggest bottleneck here, and it's also the easiest thing to improve if you plan to use this console long term. Swapping the internal drive for a SATA SSD makes a noticeable difference. Boot times are faster, games load quicker, and the whole system just feels snappier and more responsive overall. Otherwise, you can use an external SSD to increase your storage and make games load faster. That said, it's still worth keeping expectations in check. Even with an SSD upgrade, it won't touch the speeds of the NVMe drives found in the Series S and Series X. The One X simply wasn't designed for that kind of storage, and while the upgrade absolutely improves the day-to-day experience, it doesn't magically unlock access to newer games. It just makes the ones you can play feel a whole lot better. But at least for me, as someone with limited time to game each week, I honestly don't give a shit about the specs when it comes to console gaming. After a long day, my favorite thing to do is just flop onto the couch, relax, and play some absolute banger games. I didn't buy this console because of some spec sheet or numbers on paper. I picked it up because it was an easy, affordable way to get back into console gaming, and I don't regret it at all. After spending ridiculous hours every day on a mouse and keyboard for work, video editing, scripting, PC gaming, you name it, the simple comfort of a controller is impossible to resist. As for whether or not Game Pass is actually worth it, if I'm completely honest, it's not worth it for me specifically, but there's still value to be had depending on who you are. I used to subscribe monthly, but I can't really justify it anymore with the recent price hikes, which brings Game Pass close to $30 a month. And that's crazy. As someone with limited time, I'm simply not crushing game after game as I once did, and work life has me on a single game for a good amount of months. With that, Game Pass can still be incredible value for anybody with more time on their hands to play games. But not for me at the moment, which honestly sucks. Since I own no game on Xbox past 2021 because I've been heavily invested into Game Pass. God damn it. But even if you don't have access to all the freshest games on here or aren't subscribed to Game Pass, Xbox's huge backlog plus its backwards compatibility comes in clutch. The One X benefits massively from Xbox library spanning multiple generations, with some enhanced versions of older games that actually take advantage of the extra horsepower. Pop in a 360 disc or fire up a digital copy, and you're often getting the best console version of that game without spending extra money for the hardware. If there, however, are games that are unavailable, you can always just grab the native console instead. The OG Xbox and the 360 are dirt cheap as of today, so there isn't really a huge barrier blocking your way to getting one. But when it comes to actually using the One X as your main system, that's where things start to click in ways you don't really think about. A major perk with this console is its thermals and overall build quality. The One X still feels absolutely incredible and super premium. Honestly, its build quality feels more refined than the Series X. And that's thanks to its denser build and compact design that gives it a more solid feel overall. Additionally, it's quiet and doesn't sound like it's about to take flight every time you launch a game. Of course, it's not perfect. New releases are slowly leaving it behind, and support will eventually dry up completely. If you're chasing brand new AAA games on day one, this is not the box for you. No Battlefield 6, no Ark Raiders, and no Black Ops 7.
Jaha.
Well, actually you do get Black Ops 7. And honestly, it looks good and runs fine. Nothing mind-blowing, but perfectly playable. It can hit up to 60 FPS, though realistically you're hovering more in that 40 to 50 FPS range most of the time. And that kinds of sets the tone here. The One X isn't about pushing boundaries or chasing cutting-edge performance anymore. It's about consistency. If your backlog is already massive or you just want a console that just works, then the One X is a solid choice. In a landscape that feels increasingly complicated and expensive, the One X represents something a lot of us miss: straightforward and affordable couch gaming that just works. And that might be exactly why it deserves another look. But if you want even more performance, then check out my take on the Xbox Series X here on the left. If you enjoyed, then absolutely make sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and peace out.